This segment of Deer and Deer Hunting TV is brought to you by Stealth Pro Series compact drills from Great Plains. The hunt starts here.
Just by passing up bucks doesn't mean you're going to have this group of 3, 4, 5-year-old deer to hunt next year.
Dominant bucks, well, they don't like to be hanging out with too many more dominant bucks.
Hey, when it comes to targeting mature bucks, get out of the habit of targeting just 1 or 2 deer and target certain age classes. This is Deer and Deer Hunting TV.
Ever heard the saying, let 'em go, let 'em grow? Sounds simple, right? But is passing young bucks really the secret to stacking up giants on your property? Or is there more to it? Today on Deer and Deer Hunting TV, we break it all down. What works, what doesn't, and ways to increase your chances of bagging a bigger buck in your upcoming deer season.
The common thinking is this: if I just pass up bucks, let them get to the older age classes, I'm going to stockpile them so I have all sorts of bucks to choose from when hunting season comes around. It just doesn't work that way. That's not how biology works. It's much more complicated than that. Just by passing up bucks doesn't mean you're going to have this group of 3, 4, 5-year-old deer to hunt next year, unless you're one of those really select few people that has a large property. When I'm talking large, thousands of acres, maybe hundreds of acres in some parts of the country, but not your run-of-the-mill 40, 80, 100, 200, even 300-acre property across most of whitetail's range.
It depends on the size of your property, what's going on in the whitetail world there. Are the neighbors, do they have maybe too many deer or too few deer? But if you start to pass deer and you're growing some nice 4, 5, and 6-year-old bucks, you can only hold so many of those deer on a property over the years, because dominant bucks, well, they don't like to be hanging out with too many more dominant bucks. And what happens is those deer may stay around, just shift their core areas, expand their home territory a little bit, but the younger deer sense all of this pent up testosterone with all these older guys around, and they disperse out.
Whitetail buck dispersal is probably the most complicated aspect of deer behavior that you're ever going to run into.
Whitetail dispersal. It's not as simple as born here, stay here. Bucks and does move for reasons we're only beginning to understand. Habitat, pressure, even genetics play a role. Roughly 50% of bucks will disperse by the time they are 1.5 years old. The other 50% may not disperse until closer to 2.5 years old, and sometimes they'll disperse more than once.
Just when you think you've got it figured out, there's a little wrench, a little wrinkle. Nothing is absolute. So when we talk about whitetail dispersal tendencies, that's exactly what they are. They are tendencies. It's not 100%. Why do they do this? There's many reasons why. A lot of people try to think in simple terms. Well, if the food isn't that great, if the cover isn't that great, they're going to disperse more and more often and maybe more than one time. Or because there's so much competition from other males, other bucks in the population. Those things can have an effect, but guess what the number one factor is? Domination by female hierarchies. When you have older age class does, those are the ones that tend to be pushing those bucks to find new areas. Even if you take that doe population down, research has shown that bucks are still going to disperse. Does it mean you'll never see these deer again? Not necessarily. We have plenty of proof, especially cutting back camera photos from readers and viewers we see all the time, that here's a buck when he was younger and now I killed him and he's 4 or 5 years old.
So the whitetail rut, that just throws a whole nother wrench into this dispersal thing, because in the pre-rut, bucks tend to stay close to their core area, and then they're moving around their home territory, trying to set up dominance, trying to take an inventory on where all the does are and where the breeding's gonna occur in another 2 weeks. And then during the rut, hey, throw it all out the window. They're gonna try to do as much of their breeding right away in that home territory. But if they can't find an estrus doe and they catch whiff of one up the road, they may go 1, 2, 3 miles or more, say again, if you're in a more open environment, to find that next estrus doe.
Are there things you can do to prevent it? Not really. The best thing you can do is take that information in, know that it happens, and know that doing your part means keeping the population at a responsible level, giving them everything you can give them, food, water, cover, and then keeping the hunting pressure off. And then when you're working in concert with your neighbors, you're gonna have more deer to hunt, bigger deer to hunt, and you're gonna have a much healthier deer population. "10 days to 2 weeks before the opening day of gun season, we got a cutty back photo of a buck we had never seen before. Beautiful 10-pointer. He had one little busted off G4 on the end. Didn't matter to me. Beautiful mature buck. And I'm like, my goodness, wouldn't that be a cool buck to see on our second sit of gun season?
This year, Dan hunted a new 100-acre property bordered by hunting pressure on all sides. After a slow opening day, he held off hunting daily, waiting until midweek with the hope that the surrounding pressure would push bucks his way.
You know, you want to put in that time, and a lot of times that does work, and it works very well. But I just had a feeling that if we stayed out of there for a couple days, that pressure from the neighboring properties would push those deer onto the property we were hunting. It's a nice sized property, 100 acres only, but very thick swamp. Sure enough, we get there an hour and a half before first light, get in there, get settled, extremely cold. The deer are moving right away. And you know me, I'm an equal opportunity employer when it comes to harvesting deer, even with a gun, even if I'm going after a big buck. I know it's not going to affect anything. We had maybe sat there for 20, 30 minutes after I shot that doe, and David looks out the window, he sees some movement. It's the 10-pointer that we had on camera. Connected to the camera. You gotta move the camera. I can't get in there. And all of a sudden that buck, I don't know if it was from intuition, maybe he sensed something, but he just kind of backed up, faded off into the brush, and I thought that's it. Intuitively, that buck knew that he's coming through an area, he knows that there's a blind there. He's gonna try to circle downwind of that blind regardless. That's how big bucks are wired. Here he comes, stepping gingerly through the woods. I'm trying to keep it together, get that rifle barrel out the window, and get the first opportunity to put those crosshairs on his shoulder.
Did he go down? He's right
He's going down. He's down. He's dead. Yes, we got him, David. Yes. Yes. We got the big one. We got the big one. That's the big one. That's the Big 10. We shot the Big 10. Oh my gosh, pins and needles. He's dead right there. Oh, yes. Yes. Way to go. Way to go, man. You spotted him. I thought he was gone. Hang on. I am shaking like I cannot do this. I got to get this out. Let's be safe. Okay. I know he's right up here somewhere. He's not too far. Oh, I see antlers right here over the top of the rock. I see antlers over the top of that huge rock right there. That's him. It's 100% him. Look at that buck. What a beautiful deer. My goodness. He's got 2 kicker points on the... That's him. That's the buck we had yesterday. He walked in front of the cutty-back camera at 7 a.m. Yesterday he was coming the other way. This morning he was coming this way at like 7:29. Okay, so we recovered our buck. He was only 40 yards from the stand. Now we're gonna go get our doe. A 2 for Tuesday. Doesn't get any better than this.
One of the big things that bow hunters should do, despite the incredible quality that comes with modern hunting arrows, is flex them. If you shoot carbon, you almost always should flex your arrows before shooting them on the range and before the hunt. That is an excellent test to see, to ensure the structural integrity in that arrow is still there. Now, like I said, these Easton arrows are tough, but if you shoot a target, maybe you skip it off a rock at some point, maybe you've shot an animal with it at some point. Over time, you know, these things, they can break down, especially if you're missing targets. It's just more peace of mind to flex that arrow to ensure the structural integrity is still there and that it is going to be a good arrow to shoot, because if there is any damage to that spine, it can lead to injuries. So you just want to flex, just be sure that it's still good to go, and then you're ready to hit the range or hit the woods. So another thing that you can do to test is to take a cotton ball and run it across the surface. Run it across the surface of your arrow. If it snags anywhere, there might be a slight splinter that you can't see. So do the flex test, do the cotton ball test. If it passes both of those, your arrow's in good shape. And that's just a good maintenance thing to do, because you want to make sure all of your equipment is in top form, whether it's your bow, your crossbow, your bolts, your arrows, your broadheads, whatever it is. You want to make sure that everything is still good to go, and it's going to be peace of mind and more confidence when you pull the trigger.
You might have seen this trend lately, ropes for mock scrapes. You might say, what's up with that? Let me tell you, these natural ropes like this Wildlife Research Center golden rope, these are the ticket for mock scrapes for many reasons. And you might ask, why a rope? Because that rope, number one, is flexible. It is highly absorbent. This is natural rope fibers. I soak that urine base or any scent in that rope. It absorbs into those fibers and it lasts a very long time. That's why I like the ropes, and they're flexible. Once I get that tied to a stout branch, deer can bat that around, they can chew it. A natural licking branch is going to break down over time and it's going to become ineffective. These ropes can last season after season. That's why these are so popular, but it's critical. Natural rope, and then get it where deer are going to go. You can't get them to come hundreds of yards out of their way to visit a mock scrape. You can get them to spend a disproportionate amount of time in an area that's already receiving deer traffic by just putting a couple mock scrapes in place. So how high should you place this rope? I'm going to say waist high or a little bit higher. You want it to be at a deer's nose level so they have to reach up to smell it. You don't want it down here. It's just not going to be as effective. You get it, I'm going to say about waist or mid-chest level. And then when the deer works that, they can pull it down and it's got some give. So you want to have it on a branch that's got a little bit of give to it. Deer use this as a scent communication hub. All the scent that's coming out of there, they're going to come check on it to see, hey, who's coming in here? And then when other deer come in, they're leaving their scent on there. Deer leave so much scent on here that you don't need a ton of scent to get them to start it. But once deer get here, they're going to rub their forehead on it, they're going to rub their preorbital glands on it, they're going to lick it, they're going to chew it, they're going to leave extra scent there, making this that calling card. It's going to be a buck's calling card once he gets in there and he starts traveling through that area a lot. You're going to get pictures, you get your cutty back cameras on here, you're going to get pictures time and time again of deer using this once you get those scrapes active. He's dead right there.